They called her the Pythia. To the ancient world, she was the ultimate source of truth. To us, the coldest case in history. Kings traveled thousands of miles to her cave in Delphi, seeking answers to murders, plagues, and wars. But was she a divine conduit or a master of the world's oldest, longest con? This week on Divination Detectives, we're investigating the strange chemistry between the Temple of Apollo. We're digging into geological cracks, sweet smelling gases, and the riddles that toppled empires.
The Pythia wasn't just one person, but a title. For over 1,000 years, the women chosen for this role were locals from the village of Delphi. Interestingly, they weren't young girls. They were usually older women, over 50, who led lives of spotless character. They traded their family lives for a permanent seat on the tripod. The Temple of Apollo at Delphi, perched on the side of Mount Parnassus. The Greeks believed this was the Omphalos, or the navel of the world, the exact spot where two eagles released by Zeus met after flying from opposite ends of the earth. So the way that the divination process would happen is that first the Pythia would purify herself by fasting and bathing in the Castalian spring. Then there would be a sacrifice. A goat was sprinkled with cold water. If it shivered, it was a sign from Apollo that he was in the building, sort to say. Thirdly, Pythia entered the Aditon, a restricted inner chamber. She sat on a gilded tripod over a literal crack in the earth. And then the final part was the trance, where she would inhale the pneuma, a sweet-smelling vapor, rising from the chasm, holding a laurel branch and a bowl of spring water. She would then fall into a divine frenzy, speaking in tongues or rhythmic poetry. The catch with all of this is that Pythia was rarely direct. Her answers were riddles wrapped in an enigma. This forced the detective, person asking the question, to do the legwork. If you misinterpreted her and your army got wiped out, that wasn't Pythia's fault. It was your own failure of logic. Welcome to the new episode. Divination detectives are back in the game. This week we are covering the Pythia, or the Oracle of Delphi. This is a long legacy, and we are interested to see whether this was an actual divination sphere, whether the oracles were actually doing the oracling, the divining,
Right? Yeah.
or if this was a plot to a larger political game. That's the plot for today, for the two of us.
Mhm.
So, right
Yeah,
off the
and I
bat,
really like this topic because, like I was saying to you earlier, like it just feels very like parallel to a lot of things that, go on in our world today and have been forever. Like when you're talking about propaganda and certain groups of, governmental people trying to control money, land, people. So it's just, yeah, it's like the tale as old as time, right? So
true.
now that's is very interesting to like look back and at this. I mean, she like we calculated, what was it, like 1800 years the Oracle of
About, yeah.
Delphi was a thing? Like that's a long time.
Yeah, it was almost, I think it was about 1400 BCE to
Mhm.
393 or 94 CE
Wow. Yeah.
that they
So very
operated.
close. Yeah.
So it's
So that's it
almost like
was.
1800, 1700 something.
Wow.
It's a long ass time.
Yeah. So many generations, right? And they just would
True.
have been taught that, oh, that, okay. So I like that. It's a long trusted source
Yeah.
to, if you were going to politically construe things or influence people, it would definitely be a good thing to tap into if I was, a powerful person trying to get more power. So it's interesting. The way that they got the oracles is very specific, like with a certain place. So to me,
Yeah.
it feels like, this place was built around a special power of the earth that maybe actually is a real thing. I'd love to look into that part and yeah,
Yeah.
and just kind of see what they're all about because this is kind of a cool learning experience for me. I'm not really down on I know a little bit of Greek mythology, but I'm not really a student of it. So this is
Yeah.
kind of like a fun little story to unpack and just learn too. So yeah,
That's
fun.
very
I
true.
like
And
it.
it's an interesting correlation when you think to like priesthood in today's day and age,
Hmm.
where Pythias were basically or priestesses of other gods as well were, I guess, married to some degree to the actual god.
Okay. Yeah.
So Pythia in itself derives from the word for snake or an abbreviation of it.
Hmm.
And they were the priestesses to the god Apollo, right? And that's when we were talking before, what I was telling you before, it's interesting that the Pythias were in a sense like rule makers because Apollo was the god of rules, the god of judgment slash rule making or
Hmm.
lawmaking. So by extent, his priestesses would be the ones to do the same exact thing.
Hmm. So, and I'm just trying to clarify. So, when there's an Oracle of Delphi, so you're thinking like there's this one main Oracle priestess, and then they would have other, people, priestesses in the temple, or do you
No,
think like
no.
all of them in
So
the temple could deliver these
no.
messages?
So you have one priestess,
Okay.
Oracle of Delphi. You have more priestesses at the temple or servants in the temple.
Yeah.
And the thing with this is, I forget the name, but there would be also an interpreter assigned to the oracle.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she would deliver the message. There would be an
Mhm.
interpreter that would then take the message, interpret it, and try to make
Mhm.
like sense of what she was saying, because sometimes they would be speaking in tongues and riddles, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And that would
Mhm.
be delivered then to the person that was asking the query, whether it was like a simple person or
Yeah.
like a peasant or like a royal
Okay.
or a king, whatever.
So there'd be some, room for infiltration on the message,
True.
but
But I
it
get what
sounds like the
you're
ritual to, oh, sorry. Go
sorry.
ahead.
I get what you're asking there because I feel like for me personally as well, it was like when you hear Oracle of Delphi, you were thinking like, oh, a single person, like that was one person,
Um,
right? No, it is
uh-huh.
a generations thing is what you were saying before. It's like multiple people, one after another, coming into that position.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I want to pull first, like just like what was the general message of the Oracle of Delphi over the generations?
Mm-hmm.
Like what, understanding it to be a true oracle, what is this true oracle's like main goal or main reason for
Agenda.
existing and sharing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
I pulled the cards in general as well. So you let me know.
mhm.
I know you pulled some cards too as well before
Yeah.
we started on this topic. So what did you get? What do you think?
So first of all, like, I think it's beautiful. I have the weird deck with shoot, I don't know the name of it. But anyway,
That's
it
okay. We'll
looks
put it.
like the goddess of Venus on it. And it
Mm,
says, "Let your love flow, goddess of love." So we're talking about goddesses. I have a goddess card, so I feel like,
appropriate.
and then I also got so I was like, okay, what are we loving? What are we trying to love in this temple? And then I got this card about hope. Okay. So it's like giving hope to people, giving strength through love. I think a lot of these temples, they would kind of take anybody in and show them compassion and love and charity type of thing. But also, like, if there are wars going on and there is a lot of chaos and uncertainty, they would give them hope. They would say, the gods love you and this is part of it and we're gonna get through this, and give messages in that way. For the most part, I feel like they were trying to not be used by the big guys. I feel like they were more originally like for everyday people, and their messages were, of these good intentions. If you ask Delphi, because I think when we're talking about, this certain place in the earth and and then like the name of this goddess, like where they're getting the messages from, I think it does come from the earth, which is pure love and pure support and that. Okay. So I feel like she's there to deliver messages from basically the earth's energy herself. What do you think?
I would agree as well, and this is actually supported by the fact that, the chasm or, things coming from the earth was for a long time disbelieved. And then
Mhm.
in the 1990s, there was like a discovery that at the sacred site where the temple was and where the Pythia would sit on her tripod,
Mhm.
did actually produce vapors, which, if I'm not mistaken, was ethylene, which is a
Okay.
gas that actually causes like this drowsiness and can
Ah.
cause
Mm-hmm.
hallucinations and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it was sort of like if you think like shamanic journey and
Yep.
using herbs for it, or like
Yep.
using some sort of an agent to put you in a trance. So that supports the idea. What I got here first off is the Eight of Coins. And the way that this card is presented in the deck that I'm using, which is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot, I'm going to show you it's kind of a shovel and another tool
Mm-hmm.
laid up against each other. And it almost makes me think, because Eight of Pentacles is about work and, investment and making things happen and making things happen in the physical world, like creating things, right? Creative
Mm-hmm.
talent. It's almost like the main overall agenda was to get people or like the community to work together, to give
Mm-hmm.
messages, to employ everybody to work cohesively and be able to get along with each other.
Yeah.
Alongside that, we have the Queen of Swords. So I feel like the judgment aspect, the rule making, the sort of strictness of like, how are we going to set this up so
Mm-hmm.
that everybody gets a fair arrangement, more or less, is
Mm-hmm.
also part of it. So the rule making for sure was a huge aspect of it. I got the Fool right next to
Okay.
the Two of Cups in reverse. So I almost get a sense of like being closer to the gods, or like getting the divine message, or feeling like there is something higher than yourself that is supporting you, which I feel like
Mm-hmm.
for us these days is like a lot of people finding solace in religion or spirituality, feeling that connection to a higher force that is guiding you throughout life. So everything that's happening to you is with some sort of a higher reason, and that there
Yeah.
is some sort of divine planning to it all. So it's not just my life is fucked up because I'm making bad decision. It's like, oh, this guy got pissed off at me doing this, and 10 of my goats died, so now I
Yeah.
have to figure out how I'm going to get through the winter, but then something's going to turn out, and I was in God's graces again, and it went in a
Yeah, and I
positive
bet you
direction.
people would really go when they're on super hard times, right? And
Hmm.
that is kind of, I got a third card from another deck, and it's the card has Pluto, like the planet Pluto, which is about death and rebirth on an unconscious level. So it's like when you went there, like they wanted to, like you made the effort to go there. You probably donated money or gold or whatever. So they were delivering a message of hope and renewal of the situation, but in a way that really like shakes you to make that change, or to, because Pluto doesn't mess around. Like it's like this is all the dark shit, and it's like throwing it at you. And I feel like, me and you being tarot readers and delivering messages and things like this, sometimes the messages, they really do change the way people feel about things, how they think about things, like on that unconscious level, like they move differently after they walk out that door.
Hmm.
So I like that. Also, your cards with the tarot, with the Queen of Swords and the Eight, and the Fool too, like, because the Fool gives me this fresh, like, okay, we're walking out the door, we're a new human. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna do good, we're gonna do changes. But you're right. So there's the intention behind it, but then it's like once it's delivered, once people realize, like, oh, she can help us, or you have a king coming there, and yeah, the king made his own mess because he's probably a selfish prick, and he probably made a huge donation to the goddess temple. And now he wants advice. Like, yeah, it's like, is he going to get the true advice?
Yeah.
Maybe he does. Maybe he feels the shaking and this Pluto energy and that rattle of the Queen of Swords saying, no, this is the truth. But does he change when he walks out? Or like, or do they, you know what I mean? Or maybe they get mad and maybe they're like, oh, we're gonna get her to say this shit. So I feel like there's a power struggle with the men, that are coming to them, and the women that are holding these unseen secrets. So I definitely feel like, yeah, the intentions are really great. And like I said, it's originally there was some good things happening and profound changes inside people. And if you think of like those times of, there would have been, anyway, we can all imagine what it was like thousands of years ago, but the consciousness level, like, people were waking up in much different ways and could, yeah, like build something new, change how they handle things.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's gonna, like, what happens next, I guess, after this good intention. I'd like to look more into that.
Yes. Because it's interesting that you got Pluto, which
Mhm.
is the Roman equivalent to the Greek god Hades.
Yes, okay, yep.
So Hades being a place and a god, right? The underworld.
Mhm.
We're thinking subconscious, collective
Yep.
subconscious, shadow. So it's almost like all of those things from the shadow being brought to the surface. And it's
Hmm.
interesting because I got the Two of Cups, right? If you remember in reverse.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I have the Three of Swords in reverse as well, which is healing, right? It is
yeah.
almost like a conscious uncoupling from the shadow. Earth and Bone Oracle, I got the Beast card, which is like
Oh, wow.
enemies, challenges, oppression, competition, conflict. It's almost like it was supposed to end the ego.
Yes.
And one of the best examples of that is the famous story of King Crucius of Lydia, who asked the oracle if he would go to war. She gave a classic, like, vague answer. If you
Yeah.
cross the river, a great empire will be destroyed. And what happened? He went, he lost, and his own empire was destroyed. Ego.
And that's the thing. That's how he interpreted the message. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is validation that we should do it. But yeah, he didn't realize, oh, I'm not, there's other great empires. Yeah. So it's like, I imagine they faced a lot of backlash and retaliation over the years, hundreds of years. So I would ask now, like, yeah, was there a time where it was controlled or used for
Mm-hmm.
bad intentions or control? Like an infiltration of the system is what I'm going to say first. What I'm getting is Hanged Man with Three of Wands reversed. And it also comes out with Judgment. So I feel like with Hanged Man, it took a while
Mm-hmm.
before there was somebody, but there was somebody that infiltrated, because in this Three of Wands, it's like literally a dude holding a globe in a red cape.
Yeah.
When he's reversed, it just gives me like just weak masculinity type of feeling. But it's like, I feel like there was somebody at some point that did get in there and was trying to spew things, but I don't feel like it lasts, because like with this Judgment card, it's like it was judged, it was cleared. That being said, I know that the Delphi was shut down during Roman times. You said after like 300 BC or AD. So I'm thinking at that point, I feel like there was a slur, like almost like a political slur against them, saying, "Oh, we got to shut them down."
So that was when a Christian emperor came to power.
Okay.
So
And
he
it's like
shut
they were,
down.
they're whispering, they are politically, like they were blaming them for being politically taken over, and basically all the things that they were probably doing with Christianity
Yeah,
are starting to do with Christianity. They were realizing, like, oh, there's still these Delphi followers, and oh, she's still spewing the real shit, the real true shit over there. Like, we got to take her down. And I feel like that's also with this hanged man and this upset guy, because it reminds me now of like a bishop or a priest. Like, they wear the red in the
yeah,
Catholic robes. So it's like, yeah, there was a time eventually with this hanged man that somebody did actually put an end to it. Feel like they got kind of slandered in history for being bad. Like I said, I feel like there could have been a few times where the interpreter was hijacked, or there could have been, one or two oracles that were forced into something to say, at one point or another. But I don't think it was like a widespread, like, we're getting the oracle to do this. I feel like she was very protected, on spiritual side and physical side.
yeah. So they weren't basically plants, is what you're getting in the
I
grand
don't
scheme of
think
things.
so. Like I said, I feel like there could have been one or two like coerced messages out of a few of them,
That
but
would
I
make
don't feel like
sense.
it was a widespread. I feel like, by the next oracle it was like, no, we took care of that, or we squashed the bug or whatever, or like, the next ruler came and then that, we didn't have to do that anymore. There could have been some hard times where they, maybe for survival of the temple and the people in it, they were probably, tell this guy this.
True.
There's maybe a few one-offs, but it wasn't like the system of how they normally ran, is how I feel.
That would make sense with what I'm getting as well.
Mhm.
I got four of swords, so feels like a lot of words being spoken, but them sort of being isolated in the middle of all that, sort of not influenced necessarily.
Yeah.
King of Cups is coming through, and then King of Wands in reverse. So I feel like there
Oh,
was definitely like a direct influence that was or pressure being put on the Delphi
mhm. Yeah,
to
I got
say,
strength reversed. So like,
mm-hmm,
to me, like, that's forceful. Like, we were like swords pointed to her head, and it came out with Princess of Swords reverse. So like, the princess is the one that has the knowledge and does the right thing with it. And she's still kind of innocent too, right? With the Princess of Swords. So when it's reversed, like, again, like, I feel like the swords part, the words are being muffled a little bit with
yeah,
this strength reverse, where it would be like forceful beast fire energy coming at her. But it's like making me feel like it was just, here and there that happened over 1800 years, but it wasn't
yeah.
like their agenda. As we can just imagine, like, if this is a weird topic because of the time length, to me a little bit, like, it's interesting to try to handle 1800 years in a reading.
I think it's difficult for us to imagine because when you're thinking about like the world today, you have like maybe a village and a lot of people like just go from the village, like children will move to the cities or go somewhere else,
Mhm.
form families and move away. We have to take into account the fact that in those times, most families would just like, oh, here's a daughter-in-law that came in. So now they have children, they all live in the same household, and then the parents die and they have their children and their children grow up and stay in the house and so on and so on and so on for generations
Mhm.
upon generations. I would agree with you that there was probably like one or two that were influenced. Maybe even like what I was getting is like one was like almost like a plant that would be
Okay.
a woman that was supposed to become like the next
Okay.
Delphi or like the next Pythia
Yeah.
and was like maybe groomed into certain kind of thinking or a certain type of
Mm,
agenda that she would
okay.
be more supportive of, and then became the Pythia and sort of supported that agenda more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Overall, it feels like it's very clear of influence. It is definitely political. I feel like more so fights being caused as a result of people not agreeing to the message, or like there is an opposing kingdom or an opposing ruler, or somebody in the state is like, oh, that's bullshit. That's, causing arguments around it. We also, I think, taking into account the fact that, this being the temple of Apollo, Apollo was the favorite son, right? He was
Mhm.
Zeus's favorite son. So you have that favoritism that plays the I feel like some transitory rule as well in this, as sort of like this is the most important
Mm,
message that we are going to receive, which is why it's also influencing how the rules are made, how the law is being executed, and all of that
mm.
stuff. Mm,
Yeah, it's very tied to their legal system
mm-hmm.
almost.
And that as well, and then talking about the end of all of that, we also, like, one famous example is Lupercalia, which is
Hmm.
where our Valentine's Day comes from, right?
Right.
Christians then turned it into Saint Valentine and
Yeah.
his story, but it started with Lupercalia, which was one day of the year where I think they were like taking on sheepskins and wolfskins and just running around and making out and
Yeah.
just all of that stuff, like getting wild and frisky, to not
Hmm.
be
Yeah.
explicit. But then when church came into power, which was around that same time, like 390 something, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And on to like 4th century, 5th century, and so on, we have the stop of that because it was not promoting church values. Because you had the extramarital incidents and people going with like just random people,
Yeah.
women on women, men on men, all of that stuff was going on. Like it was very
Yeah.
free. So that
Yeah.
was not supporting the church's rule of a marriage being a sanctuary between a man and a woman. So you had to put a
Right.
stop to that. So, that's also kind of a supporting story of why they ended. What I'm sort of wanting to look into as well is like just to ask, was it legit? Like, was it the vapors, like ethylene from the earth,
Okay.
that was influencing them, or was it like legit, like downloads and information from divine messages, or like spiritual sources, or just a case of somebody getting high and trippy and be like, hey, I know how the world works. Because I
I'm gonna
think
get more.
all of us know at least one person that's gotten high and be like, oh, I solved all of the world problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I
If
can't
we have not
remember
been
it.
that person ourselves.
This is weird. Like for the question about the vapors, like, was this happening? Because now I'm forgetting what we just asked. So you said
Was it just the
one was like,
influence of the vapors, or
okay,
like an actual thing, like getting
an
downloads and
actual,
information
yeah.
from spiritual sources?
So the vapors, I got this card and it's talking about, it's a little fox on it and it says cunning, trickery, intelligence. So there's some trickery around this vapors thing. The Nine of Swords also. So I feel like even you were saying they fasted for 7 days. Like you're really like breaking your body down in your mental and emotional state. Is there's definitely some manipulation to get you into the state. Okay. Do I think you need to do that? Probably, probably not, but this is like how they figured it out. So I feel like they did this, but I don't think it was all very necessary to get the messages. I just feel like this is, what this is the method that would just kept
Yeah.
being passed down, for generations. And there could have been also when they're letting people inside, I feel like, yeah, maybe they were kind of like using those vapors, like to let people kind of get a little high and like, it kind of like amplified everything for them and made it feel a little bit more real, a little bit more magical, a little bit more like, soul searching. But yeah, there was definitely some, I don't know, trickery or
So I don't know
this
if
like making you exhausted. Like there was like like they were trying to exhaust you first, but
yeah,
I don't feel like it was all needed.
yeah. So I think the querents in that sense, or people who were coming to ask the questions,
Mm,
were really allowed to that actual chamber, because this
okay.
is like the innermost chamber
Okay.
where I think only Pythia was allowed to go
Okay.
in,
So
and
that
her interpreter.
okay. So maybe that's also something that maybe they were tricking about. Maybe they're just saying we use these vapors, but then they don't really, but it's like, oh, you can't go
Hmm.
in that door, it's forbidden. Okay. So yeah, there was a little bit more, yeah, magical twist to what was actually like happening, how they got the messages than what they did. Like, yeah, there's something not honest about it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that what I got is like five of swords, right next to it, six of swords in reverse, which is basically the five of swords energy, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then five of wands, so two fives and a six. So we have
Mm,
that sort of challenging aspect with the two fives coming through, right? And the resolution card that would be the six is then also turned upside down into another like challenging position, right? I almost feel like it wasn't all necessary for sure. I wouldn't discredit it completely. I think the
mhm.
vapors in the set in themselves were used to help them get into a more transient
Yeah,
mind state of mind, to get them to that point where they're sort of half hallucinating, half asleep,
yeah,
half awake,
yeah,
which, of course, there are shamanic practices that do the same thing, and certain substances that, just plain folk can get, and to get you into that more mind
yeah.
state where you release the stress, the daily thoughts, and kind of obligations, all of that stuff, and move
Mhm.
into a space where you can kind of listen more to your own intuition, listen to what, there might be messages, whatever. So I feel like that was really the thing with that. Yeah, I also think the fact of like the ritual, the second step, like the sacrifice, if you remember what I said in the beginning, they sprinkled the goat with cold water, and if she shivered, that would be the sign that the god was there. Sprinkle
Wow.
me with cold water, I'm gonna
Yeah,
freaking shiver.
yeah.
So that aspect is like kind of a, oh, right. That's, I feel like certain stuff was probably like kind of made
So,
up
yeah, it's
for
like
the show
showing
of
sort of.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
when asked about the messages, I feel like they were honest and they were. So I got Seven of Wands reverse. So that to me is like letting something in, being
mhm,
open, surrender. And it came out with this card, which is plantain, and it's talking about innocence, unaware, naivety. So it's like they were, I think, yeah, like still, because we know you can get messages from the other side, like it's very possible. So I feel like they were being open and being honest and being, yeah, innocent to what they were hearing and just delivering what they were hearing for the most part, besides, the what we talked about a minute ago,
yeah, yeah,
the couple, here and there over the centuries. But I think for the messages themselves, they were pure coming through. But it also came with this King of Wands reverse, like reminding us not all of them. Some of them are influenced by the King of Wands. Like you said, maybe influencing them when they're children, going up through the system, or definitely there were a few that literally physically threatened them and made them say things a couple of times. But yeah, I feel like the messages for the most part, even though like all this like trickery and showmanship was like happening, I feel like it didn't really make, it wasn't like tainting the messages themselves.
yeah.
Does that make
And it
sense?
makes sense, yeah. Makes sense, because I was also just pulling two cards for that same thing, and I got the moon in reverse and then eight of wands. And it almost
Okay.
feels like whilst some of the messages were almost tried to be influenced, or like people trying to influence what was going to be said or what
Hmm.
was going to be delivered, we still have that sort of the underneath shadow of it all like coming to the surface and still being able to persevere through. Like even if one of the messages was influenced, the next one would be just clearer and would be the thing that was supposed to come out the first time through the Eight of Wands. Is like that would eventually come out if one generation or one Pythia gave like misinformation. The next one would like be the legit, I guess, one, or like
Hmm.
that would not be under the influence, or that would not be pushed around and would be like, hey, this is what I'm getting, this is the message.
I
And
wonder too, like how often this person was like, I feel like she just had a string of people like every week, like she'd go into a session or, because it seems like it takes a few days to kind of get there or every new, full moon or new moon or something. I feel like it's, like I'm just picturing this hill with like a stream of people like all the time. You know what I mean? There might be like big things like, oh, I saw this vision for the whole country and this is what I want to share. Like I'm sure like that, wasn't happening every day, but I'm just thinking like regular people approaching.
okay, this is interesting. So I looked it up.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
So it's relating again to the story of Apollo, because it's relating to this to the seasons as well, right?
Yeah.
So Apollo would be present for like 9 months of the year, and he would be gone for 3 months, going to this
Oh,
like other world
okay.
and just existing there. And Pythia could be consulted once a month for 9 months of the year.
Wow.
So
Okay,
the other
there's my
three
answer.
was when the god Apollo was gone, so he couldn't give her the messages.
Ah, so she had a rest. I like that. Thank you. I'm glad she had a rest.
Yeah. But now also to conclude that part, are you thinking of any other question that you wanna
I
ask?
don't think so. I don't think so.
So
Oh, actually,
our
I do have one.
yes, yes,
So I've never been to like Greece or Delphi or anything, right? I think there's ruins still there. I want to
yes.
know like if that energy is still there
Ooh,
to
okay.
access it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Let's see. So one
Ooh.
day, guys, if you're listening, when we make it big with this podcast, the goal is for us to go to Delphi,
Yeah.
to go to where the sanctuary, the temple was, to get high on
Hmm.
fumes and give you the best messages you will ever
Yeah.
get in your world. If you ever get, if you ever see a title from Divination Detectives, you know we did it. We went
Yeah.
to Delphi, got high on fumes, and are
On
just
assignment. On assignment.
yes.
Oh my gosh. So I got 9 of Wands. I think it's still there. I think it's buried, it's beat up. And then I also got this other card that says assistance is at hand. So 9 of Wands with assistance is at hand.
Hmm.
So it just makes me think like, yes, like we're not as powerful. The energy is not as powerful as it was because people are not feeding their energy, emotional, mental, prayers, all the things. Like they're not receiving
Mhm.
the energy. But it's kind of like if you went there, like, here's our dream, our dream manifestation board. If we went there and like chilled for a little bit, I feel like you could still tap into it. I feel like there would still be some kind of like different vibe than like other places in the area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to look more into it if like people do go there still. And
Oh yes.
yeah, so it would be really interesting.
I
But yeah,
have
what do you think?
I have seen somebody recently in the last couple of months. I think it might be an astrologer that I
Hmm.
follow, Michelle Knight. I was telling you about her. I think she went to Greece and she was like taking a video with the Delphi and like explaining that she's like feeling all this crazy energy over there, like
Oh,
psychically.
cool. Yeah.
What I got is justice and temperance, two majors.
Wow,
I
yeah,
feel
it's
like
there.
justice is like there is almost like something in hiding because of the way that things are at the moment, like
Yeah.
sociopolitically, the mentality, the emotional state of people is like we are not inept to receive those messages at the moment, and we're not necessarily open to it in maybe in the last couple of centuries because it's all been
Hmm.
kind of a Christianized and central to that aspect, and
Hmm.
spirituality, shamanism aspect to it. The older religions sort of
Hmm.
fell to the sidelines and like became very nomadic and very
Hmm.
minimal. And then the temperance aspect of it is like I kind of feel like there is a tipping point that's coming, that all of
Hmm.
that is gonna resurface. I
Well,
don't.
even like this Nine of Wands, right? You come back stronger with the Nine of
Yeah,
Wands. You've been through it.
yeah,
You've been gone through the ringer. Oh, I mean, this religion in particular in this process has been basically wiped off the face of the earth for a few thousand years. But it's almost like, yeah, it's going to come back stronger. I mean, justice, like justice, that's
yeah,
karma. That's and temperance, that is like there's work to be done, but it's going to balance, rebalance.
yeah. So I did
Um,
ask whether or not there is going to be a return of Pythia or Oracle of Delphi or that sort of message.
yeah, okay.
Four of Cups combined with strength, combined with Ten of Wands. It's gonna be tough, but
Wow.
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's
But
gonna be a
that's
journey.
funny. I have the nine and then you got the 10. Like there
Yeah.
will be effort.
Mm-hmm.
What was sorry, what was the first card you said?
Four of Cups.
Four of Cups. So there's people sitting on it right now,
Yep.
figuring it out,
Yeah.
trying to that's so interesting. Now here's another cool thing. Like I wonder, I mean, hopefully it will play out in our lifetime.
That would be
But
amazing.
I wonder if it's going to be like, kind of like how people are waking up now to a lot of things. I feel like this new version of the Oracle, I don't think it's going to be just one person or like at the chosen one or this or that. It's going to be multiple people, like multiple experiences, just reopening of we go back to the beginning of those cards of love and hope and support and yeah, transformation to bring those things. Yeah, like I said originally, like I really feel like it's connected to that place in the earth. I feel like the earth has places all over the world like this where it's kind of like the energy bubbles up a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like human beings are also supposed to bubble that energy up, but we kind of sometimes just shove it back down and ignore it. And yeah, I feel like the Oracle was just a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more accepted, and that type of, anything is possible type of energy is coming back, right? So yeah,
True.
that's my spiel.
That's true. And I would say also, maybe not in the same way I would agree with that, but thinking just about the somatic, the mental, the emotional, the physical property that such a
Hmm.
journey would have. So for somebody that maybe lived like 100 kilometers away from this temple, so they
Hmm.
would journey to go to the temple and ask their question in one of those
Hmm.
9 months of the year. So if they walked, that would take them a while. Whatever journey
Yeah.
they took, it would take them a while, right, to get to Delphi. And if we think about that, it is almost like you're abandoning your reality, your
Hmm.
everyday life. You're stepping away from all of the stresses, you're stepping away from all of the expectations or all of the obligations that you have during that time, and sort of taking this almost like meditative walk
Yes. Yeah.
towards it. So it's almost like the journey in itself was a meditation of sorts with a strong biological influence because it's also kind of like you're purging yourself, like the priestess
Yeah.
would, like the Pythia would be purged before each reading, I guess, before each
Yeah.
session. You're sort of purging yourself of everything with this sort of excitement and question, and you're walking with intention. All of that, if you think about like the
Mhm.
modern practices of self-awareness,
Mhm.
consciousness, personal and spiritual practices like yoga, qigong, all of that stuff, it kind of all links together a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like that. That's a really cool perspective to
Right?
add to it. Yeah, I like that.
So I'm thinking,
And then I feel
even if
like,
it returns in the same way, I
mhm,
would like float to Greece and whatever they drop me off,
yeah,
show me in the right direction, and I would walk to the temple
yes,
to be read
yeah,
by Pythia. I think it would be a very spiritual journey in that sense, and like
mm,
a an experience in itself.
yeah, yeah, that would be cool.
So have we cracked it?
I think
Do
so.
we
I
think they
think
are the
so.
real deal? I think we do.
I think we do. I think there was, multiple smear campaigns when they were ended, and they were, tried to be infiltrated many times, but just the longevity of the temple itself shows that they were, for the most part, weren't
Yeah,
infiltrated.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I believe
agree.
that.
I agree.
Cool.
So yeah, I hope and we hope together that this was an interesting episode. Let us know your thoughts, let us know your opinions. Let us
Mm,
know, comment below, would you go to the temple? Would you go get a reading if you were like living miles and miles away, kilometers away? And you were having this opportunity to drop everything and walk or whatever way you're using to get there, would you go to have your life or a question answered by the Oracle of Delphi? And in the meantime, follow us on social media. Go check out Divination Detectives on Instagram and TikTok, and our personal profiles Guiding Tarot for Alex and Tarot Shuffle for myself. And until next week, bye.
thank you. Bye bye.